Welcome back to Deano's garage for the CBR600 F3. Just to continue, today I'm going to go through the balancing of the carburetors. To start with the balancing, you have to remove these brackets here. These are basically the engine mounting brackets. You've got two 12mm and a 14mm this side, and on the reverse side the same thing. So you remove these brackets just to gain access basically into the back of the carbs here. Now this on the CBR600 is your blanking plug, so you unscrew that along with the washer. There's probably an O-ring in there as well that comes out. Don't lose obviously any of those things. One of my top tips always was to save the tops of aerosol cans and use them to put bolts and things in. So yeah, drop that into something like that, mark it if you have to so you don't forget what it is and where it is. And then just under here, just maybe make out under there is one of those rubbers. It's pretty hard to see in this light, but once we get this bracket out of the way, maybe we'll be able to see better. One of the things you do have to do is basically get the engine running warm at normal revs before you start balancing. So fine for me to take these brackets off now. I can take these brackets off, connect everything up. I need to get the fuel tank back on, run the engine so it warms up, then start tweaking and balancing the carburetors once the engine's sort of normal running temperature. So I'll sort of go through each stage with you from here. Right, welcome back to the CBR600 F3 and the car balancing. I have to say this has been one of the biggest nightmare things I've ever done. Basically what it is when you take these brackets off the side, which are meant to gain you access to those little rubber plugs, if you like, that go over the breather, parts that go into the inlets, you can't access them. Basically you've got little metal clips on each rubber bung. You can't get pliers. You can get the first one, I did get the first one off, but you can't get pliers into this one or this one or this one. It's one of those things, it's virtually impossible. I imagine when a bike's built, they put all the plugs on, then they put the carburetors on, then they put everything on and build it from there. I don't know how you would ever do it. I don't know how a fully qualified mechanic would ever do it, bar this way. So I figured the only way to do it was to take the air filter off, to take the next part which goes on to the actual carburetors, and then to remove the carburetors from the inlet rubbers themselves. Now I've got this access. I've come down with a screwdriver, flat headed, and I've been able to get into that rubber bung and prise it off, prise it off, prise it off. So now I've got all three tubes clear here. I say three because it's 1, 2, 3, and then the other one goes into that plug which was unscrewed earlier. So that's them off. I'm now going to attach the hoses to these and permanently leave those hoses connected. On the newer CBR600s, that's exactly what they do. They have the hoses permanently connected to these inlet rubbers, and then they are put in underneath the airbox. That's what I'm going to do. Then put all the carburetors back on and everything back all together just to be able to do the balancing. Absolute nightmare of a job. This last screw was a nightmare to get to because I've got a long flexible screwdriver, this fella here, but I could not get past this to gain access to that screw head. It kept flexing the flexible screwdriver, so what I had to do was sort of undo 3, prise this back on the rubbers with a bit of leverage here, use zip ties here to hold the thing that was prising it up. So that gave me access. Once I did that, it gave me access to slide the screwdriver through, and I found that head and was able to undo it. But until then I could not do it as much as I tried. So I would say when you do these things, persevere, but look for alternative methods once you realise you cannot do the things that you're trying to do. So there we are. Absolute nightmare. Probably been on this for over an hour now, and this is where I am with it now. I should, like I say, put these hoses on and then sort of put all this back together. Right, so having taken these carburetors off and connected the hoses, just show you here, I've now got, I've marked them up 1, 2 and 3, going from right to left, and then like I say the fourth will screw into this plug here and be connected to the balancing system. So like I say, this was a complete nightmare. One of the hardest things was getting a screwdriver to go through here and undo the rubber clamps. The fourth one being the furthest away was the hardest. So what I had to do was basically put some pressure on them carbs to pull that back so I could get the screwdriver into there to undo that screw, which I'll do in reverse now to do it up. I just have to show you, by the way, the adjuster screws, because some people may not know where they are. The adjuster screw is there and under there, and then there's one under here, and you can look for some time and you will not see it. You've got to get the screwdriver up into a hole there, and that is deep inside, and you have to sort of feel your way in there. I don't think it's possible when you have the air filter housing and the fuel tank, I don't think it's possible to get screwdrivers into here to undo these, and if it is, well, you're doing it blind, you won't be able to see. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to connect an auxiliary fuel tank onto there. I just have a plastic auxiliary fuel tank, one designed for fuel obviously, that I will go onto this pipe. I have a connector and it will go onto that pipe, and then whilst you're sat here like this, I will balance these carbs. Now some might think, oh my god, that's going to suck in dirt in there. Now the whole reason for filters is when you're zooming along at, you know, 50, 60, 70, 100 mile an hour, whatever, you're forcing air through with bugs and dust and flies, and then there are different, you know, summertime, wintertime, you've got all sorts of different debris coming through here, which is why you need your air filter housing. Just sat here on tick over, whilst it's not ideal, this will be fine for me to balance the carburetors, because the balancing of the carburetors is just literally the butterfly opening the brass, butterfly opening it, synchronizing 4 carbs. As you open that throttle, I don't think you'll be able to see it now in this light, but as you open that throttle, each butterfly needs to open at exactly the same time and same amount, and that's why you balance your carburetors, so that happens, so it's synchronized. That's why when the bike's on tick over and it's balanced, it works really nicely. Once the bike's flying along at high revs, it doesn't even use the butterfly opening so much, because the diaphragms kick in and the needle jets, and then it pulls more fuel through. So the butterflies really only work from them lower revs. Once you get the higher revs, the synchronization of butterflies is not so critical. It really is in those lower revs and on tick over and sort of pulling away with the clutch, etc. So yeah, I'm going to do it like this. It'll be a lot easier, get screwdrivers in and do that. Like I say, I'll just connect an auxiliary fuel up on a higher level in the garage with the door open and do it that way. Right, welcome back to Deano's garage for the CBR600 F3 and the car balancing. So basically I've got a hook up here where I've got the fuel tank, as you can see, on a wheelie bin, with a line going down from that into the fuel filter as you would normally have it. I've got the balancer rigged up and the bike's warming up, but I just want to show you what the carbs look like now, just literally hooking them up before I do any adjustments. So yeah, as you can see, a bit of fluctuation going on, but basically, if I can just get a better focus, there we go. You can see number 1 carb, which is hooked up here, not fluctuating at all, but it's very much out of balance with all of the others. I'm kind of wondering whether we're getting any reading at all from that, to be honest. But the others are a little bit out of balance as well, so a little bit of work to do, which is the whole point of this exercise really. But this works, like I say, so fuel tank up there, fuel line comes in and then goes straight into the fuel filter, as you can see there. So yeah, I shall leave this to warm up a bit and then start adjusting those screws and see if I can get a better balance, and then I'll show you how it pans out once I've got a balance. But as I say, with it now running, and you can see those sliders with the needle jets which are on diaphragms, the diaphragms are up here, aren't operating in any way. They're just sucking in a little bit of air, and you can hear it just sounds absolutely normal as you would expect your bike to be. It's only when you start to open this throttle and open the butterflies, if you up the revs, you'll operate those diaphragms. But at the moment it's just on tick over, and that's all we want it to be when getting the balancing done. You don't need anything else other than tick over. I'm just going to shut the choke off completely. So that's the bike on tick over. You can see the problem I've got is this sort of fluctuation. You can hear it. It may be the balancing of the carbs, it may not be. It's definitely not running smooth on tick over, and definitely got a little bit of work to do here and getting these better balance. So like I say, I'll come back to you when I've balanced these and we'll see how it runs then. Welcome back to Deano's garage. It is a very wet Sunday, just about morning. I had sorted out the bike yesterday, in fact, put the airbox back together, having done the balancing, started the bike up, started really nicely, starts very quickly, and it definitely runs smoother, is more responsive on that throttle. Thanks for watching Deano's Garage. Please subscribe to my channel and I'll be showing you these videos, updating some of these videos, and of course I'll be adding to some of these along the way.